Alright, next we are going to watch a video from SaltEMike. Yes, let's react to SaltEMike, who wonders why Star Citizen continues to fail to deliver on time. That is one heck of a topic here that indeed does trigger a big chunk of the community. So let's see what his explanations are.
So by now, everyone's heard the news. 4.0 and Pyro, they're not coming this year in Q3.
Yeah, come on. Who expected otherwise, right?
Hopefully, they're going to release at some point in Q4 of this year, and this video is not going to harp on that issue specifically.
Okay, good, right? Because, well, we could have a 325, or it could very well come. I'm optimistic here. They've been telling us on multiple occasions that it's coming at this Q4, and before the end of the year. So let's see, right?
I want to talk about why I think this continues to happen year after year. It is incredibly obvious, and they speak about it all the time.
A live environment in the middle of their development. To run a live environment in the middle of game development. In Star Citizen, because we're running a live environment in the middle of our development.
How many hours has how many hours has Mike spent looking for Jared saying that line over and over again? That must have been quite tedious.
Because we are operating a live environment in the middle of our development. We are running a live environment in the middle of our attempt to make the game. One of the weird challenges that are unique to Star Citizen is that we're running a live environment in the middle of our development. Most of this is done in private in any other game. By the time they open it up to the players, they're well along, and a lot of those big sweeping changes have been done. We have this continuous thing where, because we've run a live game environment since late 2015.
Oh man, Alpha 2.0, right?
November, December 2015 to this day here, these growing pains are experienced not just by us, which is normal, but by our players, which is not. I see it from everybody, from good people, from the best people who struggle with this, and it's unfortunate, but it's normal. It's a part of our process here.
Running a live...
And it's also been helping the devs, also getting our feedback, getting things right. Not always, right? I suppose. A lot of people are not happy with master modes. That's another topic for another day, obviously. But yeah, that is how Star Citizen has been developed so far.
Environment in the middle of their development is what has been getting in the way of this game's progress for years, probably since the release of Alpha 2.0. But Mike, many live service games do this. Yep, but most of them have stable live environments.
That's the thing, right? And we've seen that already with the release of 3.24. Yeah, they released 3.24 and it has so many annoying bugs. I don't want to touch it until there's a hotfix. You're gonna see that at the end of this live stream. It's annoying.
Environments that can support their player base, while the focus of the dev team is on creating new content or reworking older content based on their players.
Exactly, and that's because they would have spent the previous years behind closed doors building all those game mechanisms that make the game go eventually live, and then they build upon that. Star Citizen is not there yet. They're still building some foundations of the game that it is going to be in the future, like server meshing that's supposed to come with Alpha 4.0.
Feedback. Star Citizen does not have that stable environment. And yes, they touted for years about how much of a positive that running their live environment allows them to throw things in a poor state simply to see how we react to it and adjust from there.
The infamous tier 0, right? That's what it is, tier 0.
I'm sure that has some value, but one has to argue the benefits are probably not outweighing the costs anymore. Now, if this hasn't gotten through yet...
Okay, that's Mike's opinion here. Mike thinks that there are more drawbacks to giving us unfinished builds that we can give feedback from and test than advantages. That's a tough statement here. What does that mean? Does that mean that CIG should get us to 1.0 as close as possible with the minimum viable product and then build upon the new features behind closed doors while we enjoy a minimal viable product that's stable but still limited compared to the final vision, while additional features and gameplay and mechanisms are coming up later. Perhaps.
I'll give you some examples. The transit system has easily slowed this project down by multiple months in only the last year or so.
Oh yeah, right. Especially, yeah, this is also giving a, personal hangar update, right? And we've seen that. How long did it take for us to get 3.24, right? It just took forever and forever. And even when it went live, it was still not working properly sometimes, and still needs a hotfix that's coming up in the next coming hours or days.
Many band-aid fixes are put out until the proper rework is done for server meshing. But guess what's going on constantly right now in the 3.24 patch? Transit has been broken in so many patches, and then fixes have to go in.
Yeah, every time, right? And they need to do a refactor. It's coming eventually, right? But it's going to take still, time and time. What if the refactor doesn't work? Are they going to refactor the refactor? It's like a battle that cannot be won.
This technology touches on every subsystem in the game. So transit was busted. Stuff was persisting in the wrong locations. You couldn't log into the game because obviously with PS.
And I've seen that, and you're going to see that on the live stream later and on the main channel as well. I came up with a situation in which one of my ships was landing in my hangar on the platform. It was not supposed to persist. So when I called another ship, the next ship spawned on top of the ship that had persisted that was not supposed to have persisted.
Yes, comes a new login flow to get players into the game, because we need to bring your items into a new database. So that entire system was also rocky to get in, because there's a lot of cases to deal with, like timeouts if you have too many items.
Now that clip was from PES, and to resolve these problems, that requires what? Dev time. And to all the people who claim that 3.24 is not holding back 4.0, maybe it's not holding back the entire patch, but it's absolutely holding back the core tech features of that patch.
Yes, good point. That's actually a good point from Mike that I did not think. I mean, I was thinking that 4.0 was holding up us testing. I was thinking 3.24 was holding up us testing 4.0, because if they put 4.0 in the PTU, nobody would be testing 3.24. If they put 4.0 in the test, the preview channel, nobody would have been testing 3.24, and they needed us to test 3.24 just to make sure they had enough resources, feedback, data, to then do the changes that were required, the hot fixes, the patches that were required to give us the most stable release candidate possible, right? But eventually, it did delay the testing, the actual testing of 4.0. Now it's finally out of the door. Now we should be getting a PTU or at least an Evo Caddy eventually further down the line, probably throughout the month of September, one would assume, right? But yeah, if 3.24 had been released a month ago, yeah, all of these resources would have been allocated to 4.0, I guess, a month ago, right?
They do not have different devs working on the live server solving issues while other devs are on the rework of that exact same feature. That would be a waste of time. Let's talk about the flight model, the constant need to balance, because, well, maybe the marketing team continues to want to sell ships that dominate everyone, on top of having so many ships means members of the vehicle team are not working on taking the flight model out of a place where literally no one loves it right now to a place where...
Yeah, so I'll be honest here. I don't love it too. I don't hate it. I don't care, to be frank. Flying ships needs to be intuitive. It needs to be fun. As long as I'm having fun flying ships, that's fine. I know I'm never going to be the best. I don't have time for that. I don't have the equipment for that. But as long as I'm having fun, that's okay. I'm having fun. It's fine. It's not mind-blowing, right? For me, it's not the main part of the game. The main part of the game is the game universe itself, the planets, the environment, what we can do on the planets, FPS combat. I love that, right? So I'm not going to cry out there on Spectrum and say, "Ooh, Master Mode is terrible." I'm not going to do that. I will leave that to other people.
Hopefully, someone does. And then missions. My god, missions. Not only are we dealing with locations, but with AI and the missions themselves constantly needing love. Then you have the idea of doing Xenothreat for the 400th time that needs support from that team every single time they run it. How is that mission refactor going? Maybe it's going really well, but there's no denying that some time has to have been taken out to focus on cargo missions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, these cargo missions, which I think were working quite fine. I don't think they've spent so much time reworking cargo missions ever since it's been in the PTU, right? They did work on the payouts because they were ridiculously low, but that's basically everything that they've done.
Or the new Blockade Runner event at a minimum. What about the rest of the missions in these patches too? Then, how about economy? We literally just had a patch last night stating
只要一个条件，我就加入你的工会。
什么条件？我们愿意做任何事。
that you can no longer salvage inside your hangar because of an exploit.
Of course, right? You know, you salvage your own ship, and then you claim the ship, and then it comes back. Of course, you should not salvage in your hangar.
Only exists because of the lack of the full and proper economy rework being in place.
Yeah, there was no economy rework in 324. It's basically the same old, same old. We don't even have... I mean, there are new commodities that you can haul in cargo hauling mission, but you can't buy and sell them anywhere. And on top of that, they've even removed the trade terminals of some of the smaller outposts. So we cannot deal drugs, we cannot go to the farms anymore and buy stuff. All of that is gone.
Dev time was spent on that, even if it was 20 minutes. It's arguably a waste of time. And the last and probably the worst one, if you really think about it, long-term persistence. How many patches have they tried to resolve these issues? But because there are constant patches and supporting the previous ones, are they actually able to solve these issues properly in a time frame that's reasonable?
Not to mention that, you know, eventually you lose items. Patch after ammo, right? It's so annoying to have to buy ammo patch after patch after patch. Let's say you're in the middle of a mining operation, right? You're mining. Some of your cargo might be lost between patches because you would not have enough time to ship them from the refinery to the landing zone, or the refining process is still ongoing and you lose it, right? Because, oh, the patch has dropped. You didn't know it would have dropped at that time, right? So what do people do when they believe a new patch might be coming up in the next coming days already? They stop doing those game loops because they might lose everything that they've been working for.
I don't know, but so far nothing's been fixed. Now, obviously, I have to make some assumptions. They're kind of how many devs are working on certain things, but I don't think I've heard many arguments against this being an actual issue. To repeat the point at the start, even they recognize it as an issue. And the reason it is a bigger issue now than it was in the past, well, the game is much larger, and there are more features that have to be maintained. The more the game adds, the more they can't support it, and the more this will continue to happen, and the more difficult it will be to make the next feature.
That is why they're talking about Star Citizen 1.0. Version 1.0, the minimal viable product. Star Citizen officially released. As soon as server meshing is out, they're going to make a couple of patches, right? Just to, you know, iron it out, make it a smoother experience, a more stable experience, and then they will ship version 1.0. And the new features, they will work on them behind closed doors. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's like, the game is out. We don't need to do the open development. It's been shipped. It's been delivered. That's it. They could very well do that.
Let's use 324 as an example. This patch, if you include Evocati, is the longest patch that has ever run in the PTU.
Oh, yeah. It's been forever. Forever. When did they start? They started like in July, right? Early July? The July, August, you know, for at least 2 months, right? It's not the longest ever, but it's one of the longest ever.
That's what the second longest is. 323. Do you think this is going to change
Yeah,
in
second
4.0?
longest.
I don't. So something kind of has to give, right? So should CIG close the doors, tell us nothing, and stop putting out patches? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and I said this in the I Was Wrong video, which will be linked if you haven't caught that one yet, is this game is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. We know CIG knows this, but spending 9 months to get one patch out, That was on nobody's bingo card. I'm not going to sit here and tell anyone how to do their job. I think it is just really obvious that running and, more importantly, constantly supporting this live Tier 0 experience is not working as well as it used to. Only CIG can answer this question. But how long are they spending pushing the game forward rather than fixing what is behind them? I think a lot more time this year was spent on fixing up things that are a lot less important than pushing the development past the milestone of 4.0 and
But maybe they were fixing it so that it would work in 4.0. Maybe that's what they did.
on to 1.0. Yes, the goal has to be to get to what other games have, that stable live release. But
Yes.
we can't get there without these reworks that are clearly being blocked by the live experience.
And they also can't get without server meshing too. You know, they need server meshing, and then with it's like a vicious circle. I get what Mike is saying. It's totally a vicious circle, right? For server meshing to work, they need to do those fixes. But then server meshing is come, and those fixes will be broken again, right?
The tech that is needed and the gameplay systems to support it. CIG depends on word of mouth. CitizenCon is their #1 way to spread the word about the cool stuff they've done and some of the cool stuff they hope to do. The rest of what they do is hopefully to keep some of the people who saw that stuff around. If CIG was to give themselves a grade this year, I don't think they would give themselves a passing one. So
Yeah, plus there's been, I think it was Morph, a morphologist, who did a really good video with data about actually how few people joined us this year so far. Not a lot of new players have joined the project, right? Because not much is happening compared to what was announced last year at CitizenCon.
So why should we? Then you have this community of ours fighting other members of the community who are disappointed in the progress CIG
Oh yeah, that's really annoying. I see that a lot in my comment section as
is
well.
making. You should be able to express your frustrations and issues with the game, how it plays, how it functions, and absolutely how disappointed in the progress that you were hoping they would have this year, that they were hoping they would make this year. And yes, CIG absolutely set these expectations for themselves. There was nothing wrong with having high hopes for this year. With that being said, I'm not saying Star Citizen developers are bad, incompetent, or literally doing anything wrong.
No, but Chris's Taylor is bad. I mean, that is a terribly designed suit.
But doing the best they can with what they're given. The issue is what they're being asked to deliver on kind of something while being weighed down trying to maintain another thing that, quite frankly, isn't what anyone asked for. The Star Citizen we're playing today is literally the Star Citizen that nobody wants. Not a single
Yeah, but it's still a work in progress, right? I'm not really worried about that yet. They're still going to iterate. We are going to give them feedback, right? None of what we're playing is final, so that's fine. So sure, we got to remind them that, you know, we're hoping it takes that direction or that direction, but it's true. Right now, I mean, for example, what I want is player-driven economy, Star Sim. That's what I want, right? Of course, it's not there.
single person wants the game's development to stop today.
Of course
Nobody
not.
wants this to be the final product. Not one dev or player is asking for this to be it. Can it be fun today? Absolutely. But 323 or 324 being fun isn't really the goal, is it? Can CIG just shut in and do what No Man's Sky did? No. But they have to start making some really tough decisions about what the product they call live is. And I've said this for years. That
Well, I think we're going to need to have answers at CitizenCon, right? We need to be a little bit more patient. Now is not the time for this discussion, I think. Now 324 is out. You know, we're going to play it, give feedback. 4.0 should be in Evo Caddy soon-ish. Then PTU, we're going to test it, give feedback. And then we're going to have, you know, those issues addressed, hopefully, at CitizenCon.
that they can't keep leaving things to rot forever. And I want the experience to be as good as quickly as possible. But the more I think about it, some really tough decisions have to be made. I cannot see a world where CIG continues to do what they've been doing since 3.0 and ever succeed. Our funding will continue on the potential of the game if they're actually able to show it. They
Well, it depends on server meshing. That's what it is. If server meshing works, and all these gameplay features that they've been working on eventually work, it gets ironed out, the game is enjoyable, then that's going to be a win. But that is going to be the key issue.
Actively worked against that ability this year. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. This is just a random thought I had the other day while talking to someone, and I think that it's a really big problem that they face. And I hope they can figure out a way to solve it, because if not, I don't see us being able to play this mythical 1.0 they've been talking about. So please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Like the
Alright, well, great video. SaltEMike knocking it out of the park. Look at that. I used to have more subscribers than him at some point. Now he's got 36,000. Really good. Good stuff, Mike. Good discussion. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below as well. Do you think it all depends on server meshing? I think that's the key here. I think that we're going to see the direction Star Citizen is taking once 4.0 is out, but we need to have that extra little patience. I think it's still a little bit early to have this conversation. That's what my opinion is. Anyway, that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you guys in the next one.